2017 has been a phenomenal year for both AAA titles and indie games. The industry as a whole broke new ground with a huge expansion in VR technology. Moreover, the Switch put Nintendo back at the top and reminded us why it's the most innovative game company out there. I thought it would be nice to list out some of my personal games from 2017. You'll probably find that I'm missing a few games that many other writers put in their top 10 lists, and that's probably because I didn't play those games. I currently own an Xbox, Switch, and PC, so none of the PlayStation exclusives are on here. Games that I haven't played or fully experienced are Divinity Original Sin 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Call of Duty World War II, Total War Warhammer 2, What Remains of Edith Finch, Assassin's Creed Origins, Nier Automata, Neo, Resident Evil 7, The Evil Within 2, Pyre, and Persona 5. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. At number 10, we have PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PUBG was probably the defining multiplayer game this year for PC players worldwide. The indie game took the industry by force and enchanted everyone with massive battle royales that were reminiscent of the Hunger Games and, well, Battle Royale. More so than the other games in this list, it's pretty certain that PUBG is going to go through some pretty major changes in 2018 with the arrival of console ports and potentially new maps. With that said, I'm not as big of a fan as most people are. I really like the game, but I don't think it's visually distinct from all the other shooting games that saturate the industry. It has the same color palette as your average Call of Duty, and the combat itself can be a bit buggy. I understand the 1.0 release just came out on Steam, but this game was nominated for Game of the Year at the 2017 Game Awards, and everyone treated it like a release title, even in early access. Regardless of the bugs, PUBG is a great idea, and I can't wait to see how it plays out next year. At number 9, we have Prey. Bethesda is one of my favorite gaming companies right now, and this is one of two games on this list by the acclaimed company. You play as Morgan Yu, and you're on an alien-infested Talos 1 space station. As you fight your way through the Typhon, the alien species on board, you can pick up resources and new weapons. The awesome thing about this game is that the space station is one whole area. Despite the high graphics, everything feels smooth and the action feels intense throughout. Similar to Bethesda's Doom remake last year, there aren't many dull moments in Prey. From my experience, however, I think it's a little short of the full price of $40. I'd wait until it goes down to $20 to get it. Other than that though, Prey is a visually striking and fun romp for a few hours. At number 8, we have Middle-earth: Shadow of War. 2014's Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor was one of my favorite games of the year. The simple hack and counter combat system, reminiscent of the Batman Arkham games, was the highlight. Moreover, the idea that you can control enemies and create waves of minions to fight alongside you was something I loved. To top that, the game is set in Middle-earth and had many callbacks to The Lord of the Rings, which is one of my favorite series. So naturally, I was super excited to play this sequel, Shadow of War. I'm happy to say that this game excels on many levels and delivers an extremely satisfying follow-up that dives deeper into the Middle-earth lore and doubles down on the combat that made the first one so great. You play once again as Talion and his dual mind Celebrimbor, and forge an army great enough to destroy Sauron's forces. The thing I absolutely loved about Shadow of War was the continuation of the great Nemesis system from the first game. After beating the game, this uses the system way better since there aren't many ways to win the game, especially in the late game, without mind controlling a bunch of orcs. Early on I was just fighting my way through, but I soon realized that I was doing the wrong thing. The final battle was only epic due to the army that I built up, and I have to applaud Warner Bros. For generating that skill curve. Yeah, there are loot boxes, but I didn't have any issues with the game that required me to buy them, contrary to the opinions out there, and I really don't understand the point. This isn't EA Star Wars Battlefront 2, people can calm down. Shadow of War is a great sequel that expands upon the Middle-earth universe in a great way. Number 7, Destiny 2. The first Destiny was a mess throughout. It was the most expensive game of all time and had exceptionally high expectations from gamers everywhere due to Bungie's influence on the industry. However, when it came out, many people were underwhelmed. After a bunch of changes and tweaks that were hit or miss, Bungie decided to revamp the whole thing and make Destiny 2, a sequel that doesn't have the weight of the first game on its shoulders. After sinking a good amount of time into Destiny 2 over the past few months, I can say that it's the game we wanted years ago before the first game's release. Destiny 2 manages to top its predecessor in almost every way. Even the game's release itself was better since it finally came out on PC via Battle.net. The story resets the playing field by destroying the tower and taking away much of what makes Guardians indestructible. This takes away the overpowered aspects of players and forces them to earn their powers back. The story isn't the longest, but as with any MMO, it's the endgame that matters. Destiny 2 combines loot grinding from MMOs and the fast-paced competitive parts of FPSs. I know that many of you may think that I'm an idiot for putting this on here after Curse of Osiris, but I didn't play Curse of Osiris, and I really don't intend to. My experience with Destiny 2 has been really positive so far, and I'm pretty sure I got my money's worth, so I really don't even need to touch Curse of Osiris. At number 6, we have Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Sometimes you just want to take down Nazis because they're the absolute worst. Bethesda's Wolfenstein 2 leans heavily into this and crafts an amazing story that has you taking revenge on the bad guys and doing really badass things. Set in an alternate 1961 in which Nazis won World War II, the story focuses on BJ Blazkowicz, I can't say it, as he attempts to fight the Nazi regime out of America. It's pretty much a ton of missions shooting down things, but the combat is A+ work from Bethesda. It is not a long game, and you can honestly finish it in a day or two. You know, I took a few days, but I'm really slow at playing video games, so it'll probably take you a day or two. The story takes some twists and turns, but without giving too much away, it just goes completely off the rails towards the end. Like many of the other games in this list, it improves upon its predecessor by a lot with stunning graphics and a better story. The combat feels cathartic throughout, and it feels great taking back America's freedom one step at a time. At number 5, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This game is so much fun. I'm a massive fan of Mario Kart, and I own most of the versions throughout the years. I'm missing Mario Kart Double Dash for the GameCube, but I have everything else. Everything about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe screams fun. I don't think racing games with your friends on Rainbow Roads will ever get boring. For me, this game was the best version of Mario Kart because it has the most maps and utilizes the best aspects of everything that came before. Motion controls and all the classic characters are back, but there are more maps, amiibos, and better customization to make this game all the more fun. But that's the key word, more. While everything about this game is fantastic, there aren't any new game mechanics. It's the best version in the series, but nothing is truly distinct. The only thing that is different on the Switch is if you play it in handheld mode, and I personally never liked doing that because it kind of felt off, and I prefer a bigger screen to take in all the colors and wonderful animation that Nintendo did. The Switch handles this game amazingly despite its relatively less powerful hardware. However, if you don't have Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U and you have a Switch, I can't recommend this one enough. At number 4, we have Injustice 2. Okay, this one might be a hot take considering I'm putting it up so high, but I genuinely think that Injustice 2 is one of the best games of 2017. I actually think it's the best fighting game currently out there right now. This is the last time I'm saying this, but the game improves upon its predecessor in almost every way. The story does the best job for what it is, but I personally found myself more impacted by the first game's riveting story about Superman turning evil. Injustice 2 picks up where the first one left off. While many heroes are having a hard time figuring out who they are in the midst of the downfall of Superman's regime, a powerful new threat emerges to Earth in the form of Brainiac. I'm a huge comic book nerd, so right off the bat I'm sold plot-wise. However, Injustice 2 introduces a ton of new characters and has some of the most satisfying loot grinding I've ever experienced in a game. Unlike the first game, you can now acquire new gear and customize all of your characters. This creates a unique feel that most of their fighting games can't replicate, and NetherRealm Studios somehow managed to one-up the genre just like they did with Mortal Kombat X. Also, the multiverse mode creates new challenges every day and keeps me coming back even after completing the fairly short story and honing my skills online. With new updates rolling out fairly often, I'm sure Injustice 2 is going to be here to stay in 2018. At number 3, we have Cuphead. I hate this game so much, and that is why I'm putting it so high at number 3. Cuphead is a gorgeous love letter to 1930s animation and a testament that this is the greatest time for indie games. There's just so much clear passion that splashes onto the screen, and every frame displays masterful hand-drawn artwork. I'd be fine if the game just looked as gorgeous as it does, but Cuphead delves further into its strengths by creating an extremely difficult platformer that forces players to observe every little detail that developers created. I'm not a controller smasher, but this game really made me rage quit a few times. I'd say I uninstalled it a few times, but I keep picking it back up after a few days just to get past wherever I was. I'm still playing it, and I doubt I'd be able to beat it, but I already love it so much for its pure nuance. Even if I ever get to beat it, I'm certain that I'm going to come back to get better. This is a game that makes you earn everything through sheer gut-wrenching determination and hard work. I'm really looking forward to the future of Studio MDHR because they made something truly special. At number 2, we have Super Mario Odyssey. At this point, I'm sure you know where I'm going with the top title in this list, but I can guarantee you that I switched around these two spots a ton before releasing this video. Super Mario Odyssey somehow managed to create the best Mario game of all time in my opinion. I was born in 1999, so I missed most of the early innovative Mario games that shaped an entire generation of gamers. I have over the years gone back and played through some of the more popular titles like Super Mario 64, so I know how these games have shaped the way we play games today. Super Mario 64 managed to create a sense of freedom that people haven't seen before, and Super Mario Galaxy managed to do it again. Sure, there were a few underwhelming games in the series throughout the years, but Nintendo somehow keeps coming back with innovative ways to play games. Super Mario Odyssey has the best creative freedom that most games dream of. There's just so much emergent player behavior in this game that I find it really hard to believe that Nintendo even imagined how creative players could get here. You know the story, you've seen it a billion times before. Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach and Mario has to save her. However, this time, you have Cappy, an actual sentient hat. You both have a ship called the Odyssey to get to Bowser, but first you need to power it up by collecting Power Moons. The main new game mechanic is Mario can throw Cappy into pretty much anything and transform into that thing. This creates a ton of different ways to beat levels and offers a level of player interactivity that I haven't seen before. Also, the soundtrack is amazing, and there's this one song in New Donk City called Jump Up Superstar that's been stuck in my head ever since I heard it. This is a masterpiece of a game, and I'd have it at number 1 if it weren't for this last title. Yep, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I don't even know where to start with this game. I'm a huge fan of the Legend of Zelda games, and there have been many perfect titles in the series in my opinion. However, none of them reach the artistic heights of Breath of the Wild. This is a game that shrouds you in mystery, but at the same time surrounds you with freedom. Like Nintendo's other huge release, Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild feels so open that you lose yourself in this world. I probably spent more time gazing out into the distance and taking beautiful screenshots of the landscape than actually playing the story. In this game, Link wakes up after 100 years and can't remember anything. By exploring the broken land of Hyrule, he regains memories of his old adventures with Zelda and soon realizes that the evil Ganon must be stopped to save Hyrule. This was different from other Zelda games because Hyrule never felt so realized. It's so worn, but nature has withstood the test of time and has surpassed the kingdom's once technological prowess. Like Link, the game itself has a great skill curve, and you learn to play your own way as the time goes on. The game wisely makes use of the Switch's multitude of features, and every control feels intuitive. I have never felt a dull moment in this game, since even the slow walking moments felt so satisfying because this is one of the most realistic yet fantastical environments. It harkens back to why I love the fantasy genre as a whole. It's not just escapism, it's a world of limitless possibilities that rivals our own. Everything about Breath of the Wild is a masterclass. The soundtrack shines with its emotional orchestral score, and every second of this game is just brimming with hope. I'm certain that years from now, this will be remembered as a groundbreaking milestone for games. So those are my top 10 best games of 2017. What do you think about this list? Would you add, delete, or change anything? Please feel free to let me know in the comments section below. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, please feel free to subscribe.